Hi guys. So one of the jobs I got to do today, which is one of the jobs I don't like doing. Not that it's hard. It's really easy. As a matter of fact, anyone can do it. That's why I'm going to do this video to show you. But basically, I got to change my fuel filters. So, to be honest, I haven't changed my fuel filters in about 5, I think 6 years, maybe even 7 years. Only because I wrote an article on this as well, proper fuel maintenance. I also make sure that when I add diesel fuel, that I always use Biobor biocide. I always add that to it, and I also add K100 water eliminator as well. So I'm always doing that. And I would say in the spring and in the fall when I store, I also add a full can of Seafoam as well. So all of those components make it that the fuel stays clean. It stays with the least amount of water as possible, and with no algae or anything growth in there because of the Biobor biocide. I'll take pictures of those products that I use. So the other thing too is I make sure the fuel that I use, if I go to a marina, now I'm in Montreal, so a lot of our marinas in northern Canada as well as northern US, well, the marinas close in the winter because the boats come out. So how much fuel did they have in those underground tanks? Unless they top them up completely before they close for the winter, most of them won't, because that's a lot of money to just be sitting in the hole. They usually will top up in the spring when at least they can roll over that cash investment. So if the tanks are half full or 3/4 or less, condensation will occur, like it or not. So that means that diesel fuel and the regular fuel for that matter will also have fuel build up, or water build up in there. So if you top up there, wouldn't be surprised if you found water in your filter. And if you do that, then you got to change your filters more often. So because I take care of the fuel, when I top up, for example, in the winter, the boat gets hauled out, I will add Biobor. I'll add also the K100, and I'll also add a full can of Seafoam about halfway through the fill. And once I have those items in there, then I keep filling to make sure it's a good mix. Come the spring, I have a full tank. And for the past, like I said, 6-7 years, I've had no issues whatsoever. I check my water filter. There's no water in the fuel. But, I've been pushing it. 7 years is pushing it. Like it or not, there are sediments in the tank and whatnot. So this year I noticed, even though the engine starts really well and everything goes really well, I just feel, and probably you guys felt that as well, the engine just felt like not as strong, or a little sluggish. So that to me is an indication that the problem with the fuel, and chances are my fuel filters need to be changed. So that's what I'll be doing today. So just for people who don't know that, in normal boats with diesel, there are 2 sets of filters. One, the primary, which is the water filter, which will filter out certain size of contaminations, as well as separate the water. And then it will go to a secondary filter normally attached to the fuel pump, and that will also block tinier sediments that may have gone through the first filter. So let me show you how that works. So this here is actually that. Let me move over here so there's no sun. So basically there it is. So you have your fuel tank over here. It goes into the primary filter, and there's a water separator. This here is a transparent cup that you can actually see the water. It will go to another pump. In this case, it's optional, whatever, but there is one on my boat, and into the engine pump as well. So we're going to be changing this filter, and I'll be changing this filter as well. So the water separator filter, here's a better picture of it here, and you probably have it. So there's a vent here that will release. I'll be able to then open this up, empty this into a container to empty this filter. And before we do anything, we are going to go shut off the valve on the gas tank. So we're going to make sure that that fuel shut off is shut off, so that as we're working, we don't have fuel spilling all over the place. Very important, if your fuel tank is actually higher than your fuel filter. In my case, my tank is higher than my fuel filter, so it's a must do. So okay, so let's get started. So before I get going with the process of changing the filter, I wanted to show you those products as promised. So this is the Biobor JF. You get this at any good diesel shop. Will have this, maybe another brand. I happen to use this brand for decades. So it's a fuel fungicide or biocide made for diesel fuel. Great product. You really don't use a lot. This bottle here is it says 1,280 gallons or whatever, but this bottle here is going to last me many, many, many years because I only put about the equivalent of 1 ounce with every top up I do. And if I'm going to do a full tank, let's say I'm traveling and I do empty my tank almost completely, then I'll give it a full 2 ounces of this. I also add this over here. Now this says for winter, but I got a habit. I buy the big bottle here and I use the K100 and I add about an ounce as well with every fill up. And come winter, I'll put 2 ounces of this stuff in the middle of topping up my fuel tank to make sure my tank is full. Sorry. And then to that, I don't have one with me, but to that also a full can of Seafoam. So that will clean out everything. And I'll run that through the engine before I shut off the engine, before the boat gets hauled out. That way I can change the oil as well while the oil is hot. So these are the 2 products that I use. I'll leave it on screen here for a little bit longer so you guys can write it down. So it's Biobor JF fuel fungicide, and then the K100 Diesel Fuel Treatment. There you go. As you can see, it eliminates water and anti-gel. I think their slogan is it makes water burn. So anyway, these are 2 great products, and you should have something like this on board or an equivalent. Okay, so there's my fuel. My fuel valves. I'm just gonna shut that off. There you go. This way. So now it's this way here. So that's my fuel. So now I've just shut off the fuel, so I can go ahead and work on the filters. Okay, so before I proceed with the fill, I wanted to show you. So this is actually a container of fruit juice, or I think it was cranberry juice. Anyways, you'll see the way I cut it. So I cut just the bottom off, so I'll be able to fit that underneath the water filter, the fuel filter, so that I can drain it. But then when I'm going to be ready to pour this out into a disposable container, all I need to do is remove the cap, the end cap, and it becomes like a funnel, if you will, to pour it. So so when I squeeze it in, it's going to be a little hard, but I know that once I have the filter off, it will come off easily, and I won't do, or at least minimize all my spilling. So it's a little tight here, but I'm going to try and hopefully show you what I've done. So there's the water filter. Oops, sorry, the fuel filter over here, RS24, and there's that transparent cup that I was telling you about. So water will separate from the fuel, and you should usually see a visual here or demarcation where water and fuel go. I'm not really looking for that right now because I am going to go ahead and change the filter. So now all I need to do is I need to open up the air vent that's over here, just unscrew it, and then there's a little cap at the bottom, like a little faucet, if you will, that I'm going to open. It will drain into that little container that I was showing you a minute ago. And when that's going to be empty, then I know that I can proceed with just twisting this one off. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what I was able to get out of things. So you can see it's in my container. So no spillage. I'll be able to pour that down into a receptacle that I usually will bring back to a place where they recycle dangerous materials.